Welcome back, everybody. Today, we are finishing off the series of my favorite runs that I've ever done. This will be the third video discussing these runs. Number one, the first video was a few weeks ago discussing numbers 5 through 10. And then last week, we talked about number 3 and 4. Today, of course, we're finishing it out with my top 2 favorite runs that I've ever done. Very, very excited to talk about both of these. I don't think I was doing the closeout combo as both of these were the closeout combo consistently as both of these were happening. So this will be the first time that I get to voice, how it all went. So, without further ado, a little more further ado. Just to recap the week, I'm feeling much better than I was last week as far as the 200-mile week kind of being on my legs. I can definitely still feel it, but not as bad as last week for sure. Pretty typical week. It was really hot that stretch of days from like Tuesday to Thursday. If you're a runner in Michigan, you know what I'm talking about. It was not fun, but we made it through it. And I still have a 6.5-mile run to go, which I plan to do right after this. So, with that out of the way. Number 2 for my favorite run of all time. Second favorite. This shirt is a great representative of that run because it was this year, RWA 2024, where I had, in all likelihood, what will be my most dramatic GLR leg that I will have ever done. To set the stage, on day 1, leg 1, a team that had regularly gotten second place, the Red Cedar Running Club team, Jebsen Nam, their guy, Adrian College alum, Tom Windle, he got lost. I think he turned a 7-ish mile run into a 17-mile run, maybe even more. The rumors spread like wildfire. I heard anywhere from 17 to 24 that he ended up running. And so then they had to reshift their entire plan because one of their guys has basically just run, 20 miles. But they're out of the picture. So second place is completely up for grabs in a random, who would have thought type of year. Second place up for grabs. The U of M alum team I think they're all kind of around 30 to 35 years old now. They ran away with it. They won every single day, I think. So, nobody's beating them. But then, it was our team and 2 M-Run alum teams, the club team. And headed into day 3, there was, I want to say, the older team. They were about 2 minutes ahead of us. Nearly Naked and Afraid is their team name. And then, I forget their team name, but Andrew Quall, who used to be on our GLR team, for 1 year, he was in 2021. That's a whole different story. But he was the captain of the team that was right behind us. They were 53 seconds behind us. And as we start throughout the day, we're going back and forth with both these teams. Eventually, Nearly Naked and Afraid, they are, 10 to 15 minutes back. I don't know exactly how far. But pretty much, it's just going to come down to us and Qual's team, which consists of a bunch of former M runners as well. And so, months before, I realized that the 100-mile week would fall on GLR week. So that GLR Sunday, I was going to hit 100 miles for the 100th straight week. And I talked to Rosolowski about it, and we agreed that this was the year that one of us was gonna, because normally, as the team captains, it's not fun to give the glory leg to yourself. I feel like giving it to another person is sort of more gratifying, satisfying, and watching them have that moment. But this year, I was like, no, this is the year that I want to do it. I was firm about it, really wanted it, because I felt like it would be just the perfect finish to the 100th 100-mile week. Not thinking, of course, because rarely ever does it actually come down to the last leg. But this year, as we're going back and forth with their team, which they had a great team as well. I mean, I think if we raced GLR 10 times, it'd go 5-5 of those teams those years. But I get the handoff from Ronco, Joseph Federanco. He's coming down that giant hill. I can still see it in my mind. And I take off. And within the first 200 meters, I felt absolutely terrible. GLR, if you don't know, just to summarize real quick, 3-day, 10-person, approximately 275-mile race, starting at 6 a.m. every day and accumulating time. And then, whoever's fastest at the end wins. There's also handicaps for women and for anybody older than, I think, 35 or 40, or anybody younger than 16. So there's different ways you can build your team. But neither of our teams had any handicaps. So it was straight up, they needed to beat us by 53 seconds or more. And I'm in the middle, of the 100-mile week streak, which I've talked about before. It's hard to consistently get workouts in because I'm constantly recovering already just from the mileage alone. So headed in, I was somewhat confident, but, it's hard to be fresh at the very end of GLR. So it's kind of just everything that you have left. But in the first 200 to 400 meters, I was worried because it felt like I was about to collapse. But keep going, of course. I'm wearing Xander super shoes, and that helped a lot because it dropped. It definitely is what ended up winning it for us, not to spoil it. But I didn't turn around to check if Qual was there until maybe mile 4.5, mile 5, and he's maybe 50 meters back. And I didn't know exactly when they when they handed it off. So I am kind of running blind until I turn around and see him. And then we get to 5.5, and he still hasn't quite caught me. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I probably got it. It's 53 seconds that he has to beat me by. He's not going to put that on me, in the last mile or so. And so I kind of pump the brakes a little, try to enjoy the moment. I see Tom Connell and I think Xander or Bram, one of the two is out there, cheering me on as I come in. And because they know the stakes too. And Qual eventually does pass me, finishes 13 seconds ahead of me, and we end up winning the overall thing by 40 seconds. And to have all of that clash together with the 100th 100-mile week, GLR, which it's now GLR season, we're in July, and it's obviously one of my favorite races of the year. And so to have all that collide produced one of, my second favorite run ever. So there you go. And that's, when I got the 100-mile week streak as well. And the drama of GLR all added into one. Okay. Moving on to number 1. So, the 4th longest that I've ever run was, and by the way, that was July 21st, 2024, GLR. But September 4th, 2023, at midnight, Xander, Matt, Leo Swager, and I are up in Brimley, Michigan. If you've never been to Brimley, don't blame you. It's kind of out of the way. Very small town, too. But if you get to the Mackinac Bridge, keep going north, just straight north. I think it's pretty much straight north. You'll eventually hit Lake Superior. And there's a small town, Brimley, that's right on the coast. And I came up with the idea a few weeks before, well, not a few months more like, that we were going to go up there. I was going to start my run at midnight on Labor Day so that it would count for the next week, so that, if I did it overnight starting on Sunday, it would have counted for the previous week, which would mess me up like crazy. There's no way I would have gotten 100 after the 48 that this ended up being. So it is midnight. It's pitch black. Obviously, the UP, there's not a lot of unnatural light being produced. And super late Sunday night, I'm sitting, it's probably around 11 p.m. and we're in the car. We went back and forth. Matt and I actually kind of got into a little argument, I guess, about if we wanted to do this or not, because Matt likes his sleep. And this would have been us committing to all of us pretty much staying up overnight. And we get up there, and I'm talking with Xander. I will never forget this moment where I was almost on the verge of saying, like, I don't know if we should do it because it's going to be dark. Who knows what troubles we could run into. We aren't going to have any service. It's going to be in the middle of the night. What if something happens to one of us? And then Xander was like, Liam, like, don't worry. I'm going to be out there with you. And the plan was to have 2 people in the car, one driving, one passenger maybe sleeping, and the car tailing me, the runner, and Xander or Leo, and eventually Matt, who would also be out there with me, either biking or also running themselves. The first 16 miles I did with Xander on the bike, and I pretty much didn't stop at all, which was huge, getting that 16 out of the way. But also throughout this whole thing, I have in the back of my head, we have to make it to the bridge by 6 a.m. because every Labor Day, there's a run/walk across the bridge, and that's the only time that you can ever cross it on foot. So if they don't make it, the car, across the bridge before 6 a.m., then the car would be stuck up there in the UP until whenever the race is done. I don't even know, maybe like noon. And Matt and I are entered in the race. So Xander and Leo have to get back across before 6 a.m. So there's a time crunch element to this, which is why, I love this run so much. Because I had to basically go 43 miles in 6 hours, which didn't sound crazy at the time, but now looking back, I realize how aggressive that was. Because I don't know what average that is, but it's not slow considering the time of day and how far. So Xander and I think, that's 7 miles an hour, so I have to average 8:30 pace, including stops, about that. Xander's out there, then we switch to Leo. Leo joins me for 10. I'm averaging about 7:15 pace throughout this whole thing, and it is pitch black. We only have the car headlights to give us light. Eventually, a dog came out and tried to attack Leo and I on this specific leg. Xander did some car maneuvering to make sure that, get the car in between us and the dog. And thankfully, dog wasn't hurt, we weren't hurt. We kept going. Then at mile 26, Xander gets back out, Leo gets back in to drive, Matt's asleep in the back still. And Xander's running with me. And then by the end of that 10 miles, so 26 to 36, I was starting to really feel it. And definitely feeling sleep deprived. I only took a 15-minute nap from 11:30 to 11:45, which was huge. I needed to do that. But obviously not enough to, feel great. And then finally Matt gets out of the car. We wake him up. It's, 4:45-ish, I want to say, at this point. We do the last 5 miles, get to St. Ignace. They give me my shirt that I need to go across the bridge, and I think you have to wear a bib. Give me all that. They drop Matt off at the start. Xander and Leo, quick, get back on the bridge, go across. I see them cross as I get to the coast, pretty much. And it was a sigh of relief because it was about 5:55. And this is the furthest I had ever gone to this point. With a time crunch, just adding that all together produced just one of my favorite runs ever. And then the last 4 miles, Shane Skelsey joined us along with Austin Remick and Tristan Vaughan, who we met, I think, last year or the year before when we did this race. He's from Ohio. But the 5 of us went across. I was still really tired and kind of, lingered back. We bumped back down to like 8-minute pace. And probably the worst part was waiting. I can remember it was from 6:12 to 6:44 that we were standing all crowded together waiting to get onto the bridge. So it wasn't immediate. And I was holding on to Matt because my legs were just ready to give out. I couldn't sit down. And yeah, but then getting across, having that amazing feeling, seeing the sunrise over Lake Huron to our left as we're going south, it was just perfect. And would I ever want to do it again? Absolutely not. It was a one-time, spur of the moment type thing, and still to this day is my favorite run. So there you go. Those are the big 2. And along with the run from Michigan to MSU and then the Boston Marathon, those are my Mount Rushmore favorite runs. And there's a big gap between 4 and 5. So, yeah, that's the series. 3 weeks of talking about the past favorite runs. And we'll see if any, in the near future are added to that. Always try to add to the favorite run list, crack the top 10. But next week I'll be talking about RWA 2026 and how that has come to be and what I'm looking forward to about GLR for 2026. So yeah, I'll see you next week.